All right, so on today's lesson of our reviews, we're going to work on finding slope, okay? So sometimes you're asked to find slope. There are several different ways that it can happen. You can be given 2 points. You can be given an equation, and it might be in 2 different forms. Or you could be given a graph. Those are all the ways that we looked at finding slope. So we're going to do an example of each of those to make sure you're good. The other thing that I want to remind you of are your special cases. Okay, so at the top, I'm going to talk special cases real quick. Okay, so some things to remember. Special cases. When it is x is equal to a number, okay, this is a slope that is considered undefined, okay? It is considered undefined, and if you were looking at it on a graph, it is a vertical line that goes up and down, all right? So that is one special case. The other special case is when it is y is equal to a number. That is said to have a slope of 0, and on a graph, it is the horizontal lines, the lines going side to side. Okay? Are y'all good with that? All right. So the first kind of problems are they're going to give you a set of ordered pairs, and they ask you to find the slope. Well, you have to use, on this one, the slope formula. And the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? That is the formula that you use. That is how you solve it. So if you were solving number 1, you've got to come up here and first label your points. x1, y1, x2, y2. Key there, remembering, is you have an x and a y for each point. It's not 2 x's and then 2 y's. And then you solve that by just plugging them in. So it would be y2, which is negative 16, minus a negative 6 for y1. All over, x2 is 11, minus a negative 1 for x1. 2 negatives here will make positives. That's the biggest key remembering here. So then up there, negative 16 and positive 6 make negative 10. 11 plus 1 makes 12. Now, this is a correct answer, but it is not a simplified answer. What number goes into both 10 and 12? 2. So if you divide both of those by 2, you end up getting negative 5 over 6. And that would be your final answer because that is your slope. Questions? You good? All right. So let's go to the next kind of problem. The next kind of problem is number 10, and it is finding slope from a graph. Here is how you find slope from a graph. You just simply have to count it. Okay? You count it. Here's what I want you to remember. Your slope is your m value, and it is always rise over run. Okay? So remember how I taught you to do it is I always start at the lowest point and I count up. So I would start down here at this point that I make red, and if I'm going to count up, I count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I counted up 5, so that means it's a positive 5. Okay? If I were to count down, that number would be negative. Good. Then from there, I've got to decide, am I counting right or am I counting left? Well, to get to the point here, I need to count to the right. When you count right, that is in the positive direction. If you count left, it is in the negative. But we want to count right, so we count over 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, I counted right, that is a positive 4. So here for your slope, your rise was 5 over your run, which was 4. That cannot be reduced anymore, so that is your final answer. Questions? All right. 2 more types of problems to look at, okay? And they are both based off of when you are given the equation of a line, Okay? So the first type is when you are given the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay? When you are given the equation in slope-intercept form, you need to remember that is y is equal to mx plus b. The thing there is you remember whatever number is with your x, that is simply your slope. So as you look at number 13 there, your slope is just going to be the number that is in front of the x. Well, what number is in front of the x? Negative 3 over 2. You're 100% correct. So your m here is negative 3 over 2. All right, now, the last kind of problem is one where it is given to you in standard form. Okay, so looking at number 17, this is one that you would say is in standard form. Well, here's the issue. You cannot find the slope when it is standard form. So that means we have to put it in slope-intercept form. So this is exactly what we have done the last 2 days. So as you look at number 17, the first thing you got to do is subtract 4x from both sides because we're trying to get y by itself. So you get negative 5y equals negative 4x plus 5. Well, now we got to get y by itself. So what do we have to divide by? Negative 5. Because it's got to be whatever is over there. So once that happens, you get y is equal to 2 negatives will make a positive. So it's positive 4/5 x. 5 divided by negative 5 becomes negative 1. Well, just like before, whatever is with your x, that is your slope. So your m value there is positive 4 over positive 5. Well, when it's a negative divided by a negative, you make it positive. If that had been a positive divided by a negative, you'd leave it a negative. Okay? So 2 negatives will make a positive. All right. So that is the gist of today. All right. Now, what you need to do is go through and practice this. Okay? Nothing is due to Canvas today. We will continue practicing on this tomorrow as well, and then we'll have the optional worksheet on Friday. All right, ready, set, go.